So welcome today to our Zoom for February 15th. We are blessed to have Anna Zschuppe, which you wouldn't get with her last name spelling. That's okay, I can relate, no worries. And I am very excited. I'll let her introduce herself, but I will just say that Anna is a bundle of joy and energy to be around. She is wise beyond her years. So she's got a lot of great experience as well as wisdom and knowledge to share with you. So go ahead, Anna, take us away.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Tracy. And hello to everyone. Thanks for introducing yourselves as well. It's so exciting to be here. I've been working with Tracy in the career ministry, I want to say since July of 2021. So it's been such a blessing. Tracy is awesome, and she just loves to just be a servant of God and just really help people where they're at. So when she came to me and said, hey, do you want to present on Zoom on something about career coaching, life coaching, whatever that may be? I was like, oh my gosh, yes, absolutely. So today what we're going to do, this is going to be filled with a lot of interaction, reflection. So feel free throughout the Zoom call, if you want to unmute yourself and even speak. We have a smaller group today, so definitely open for discussion. You can also, chat if you need to DM Tracy and I directly, that's fine too. Tracy will be monitoring the chats. But for today, what we're going to talk about is discerning your career path and God's mission for you. So let me share my screen. And just let me know. Can you guys see my screen okay? Says summer solstice. Okay, cool. Career coach. Wonderful. So discerning your career path and God's mission for you. So the first question, we're going to bat it off with a question, is a lot of you mentioned that you're transitioning careers. So what is the first step in finding your next job? You guys want to unmute, put it in the chat.
You got to determine what you want.
Yeah, determine what you want. I love that. So many times people just want to step into, I need to apply, I need to create a resume, I don't know what to do, right? But like what Paul said, it's really determining your purpose and your career path, right? So the question is what does that look like? How do we even get there? What even is purpose? And especially when it comes to your career. So purpose is simply the driver behind your life story and why you exist. God has made you for a specific reason, for a unique reason on this earth, to be a disciple of His. And by living out your purpose, you're committing to a higher calling that really fulfills what He has in store for you. Not only things that you're doing for yourself, but things that you can do for others and really touch and change other people's lives. With following your purpose, it's meant to create a more satisfying, meaningful life for you. You'll feel as if you're just kind of flowing through the breeze and the trees and whatnot, but actually fulfilling something with a lot of intentionality and significance behind it. And then, like I said, you're also helping make a positive mark on the world and the lives of others. So with this, purpose is so important because it informs your beliefs, your behaviors, your decisions and choices. It leads you to long-term fulfillment as opposed to short-term satisfaction. So it's talking about the long-term gains as opposed to, just doing things in the short run. It really speaks to your inner truth and how you were designed, and it provides a sense of direction and meaning. And by really aligning to your purpose, especially when it comes to your job, you'll have more confidence in yourself and courage in your own decisions. So it's not what someone tells you to do, it's what you actually want to do. You'll also feel empowered to build upon your unique strengths and values, which all of that leads into your work and life, making more ethical choices, and feel like you're thriving in life. I think thriving is such a huge word that I love using, especially when you're aligned to your purpose. And then also it lowers possibilities of depression and anxiety. So rather than, focusing on what the outer world is saying, it's really figuring out what's in your heart and in your mind and in your spirit. And by following your purpose, you'll be able to maximize what life offers. You'll begin to prioritize your time, money, and efforts effectively and live a life full of intentionality. I'm a big believer in we only have a finite time here on this earth, and we need to use our time, our money, our resources, our efforts, whatever that may be, so that we can live that life full of intentionality and vibrancy. Big, big believer in that. So, who am I? Why am I here today? So a little bit about myself is that I worked at EY as a consultant for about 3.5 years. I did human resources and staff consulting. So I think it was the other Anna who was mentioning that she is looking for consulting. So Anna, if you have any questions, I can provide some insight on that. So like I said, I worked there for about 3.5 years, but I knew something in my heart that something was missing. I was like, I know that I'm meant for more. And I did a lot of soul searching and actually inner healing to discover my true purpose. And for me, that was, I want to be a coach. I want to be a person who can transform the lives of others, not only like organizations and business wise, but then also just inner transformation, whether it's their mind, their body, or their spirit. So I decided to leave my 6-figure Fortune 500 corporate America job at age 26, and I pursued my entrepreneurial dream, which is where Summer Solstice comes. That's the company that I own now in June of 2022. And I also became a certified career coach through Career Coach Services. So you'll see some things along here that says Career Coach Services. I'm actually licensed and certified through them as well. And then, of course, I also serve as a keynote speaker and HR consultant for DFW Catholic organizations and churches. So a lot of speaking opportunities and things like that within our community here in the Dallas area. It has been wonderful and such a blessing. And then actually being involved in the career ministry and then also the All Saints Lector team. I do a little bit of both. I'm also a part of a Bible study at St. Anne's, going to young adult events at Prince of Peace. I just kind of bop around a little bit of everywhere. But, of course, personally, I love like being in the gym, going to the dance floor and singing and dancing. I just went salsa dancing last week and it was so much fun. I also love going to concerts too. So again, I introduced myself in this because I totally understand, for those who are in this career transition and they're like, I know that I'm in a soul-sucking job, but I don't know what's next for me. I totally resonate with that. And it really took a lot of work into really discerning, like, what is my purpose? What's my next career path? What does this all look like so that I can lead a life that God has designed for me? Okay, so the next question that I have for you all is, why is purpose sometimes difficult to follow? Feel free to unmute, put it in the chat.
I will answer if no one else wants to. I'll let someone else. I think our distractions in this world, we are so highly connected that we are disconnected with God and ourselves at times, unless we take specific steps to find that quiet time and pursue His will in our lives. So
yes,
that's what I would say. Ellen says fear of failure and uncomfortable. I would agree with that as well.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, it's so true. I've noticed that when I'm disconnected from myself, I feel like I'm disconnected everywhere, like in my relationships and my friendships and my business, like everything. So really being connected. And yeah, Ellen, like you were saying too, that fear of failure of like, this is a huge step. Like, this is something that's weird. It's icky, sticky. I've never done this before. And that makes it hard to want to jump and take that risk, right? To really pursue your purpose. And yeah,
both of
you hit
expectations. Does anyone feel like others' expectations, like either, coming out of either your parents' expectations or a spouse's expectations, or, needing to, make money in some way? That can also be, Paul says failure is not an option. So.
Yes, so true. And I think I was looking at the chat as well. Ellen was even saying, people probably thought you were wrong to give up a 6-figure job. Yes. Oh my gosh. My parents said, what the heck are you doing? Why are you taking this risk? And, you're getting good money and things like that. But I was like, no, I am so unfulfilled. Like, yeah, the money is coming in, but money does not buy you happiness. And I was like, I need to leave this job. I need to leave this job in order to really do what I love and love what I do. Because that, when I was working as a consultant, just for me, it wasn't hitting that mark entirely. Scott was also saying parents' expectations, peers. Yes, you guys are all hitting this on the head. And, what I have here listed is, it's so hard to follow our purpose sometimes, is because we have these external and internal roadblocks, right? So the external, kind of like what Scott and what Tracy was saying, is we live in a material world, right? We focus on money, success, fame, popularity. Like, I even have like the little Barbie doll, because, Barbie doll. But anyways, we live in a world that focuses on values that really don't support our happiness, our well-being, and our growth. And we just, especially in this day and age with so much internet, social media, there's so much noise and there's so much distraction. And it's so easy to fall into the trap of, hey, I need to stay in this job because I need to make the money. Hey, I need to stay in this job because I'm working as the CEO, or I'm working very, very high up. But at the end of the day, if it's not tied to kind of what you love and what your purpose is, you're setting yourself up for more failure. And a lot of those stresses and things like that, especially when you're not feeling fully happy or fully fulfilled, that bleeds not only into your career, right? But it also bleeds into your family life. So how are you showing up to your friends? How are you showing up to your children? How are you showing up to your spouse? So again, it's really discerning what kind of things out there are distractions. I'm a big believer that the devil likes to bring out some of those luring distractions versus what's actually tied to you and your soul. And a lot of that does take some soul searching, and we'll do a little bit of that today, actually, kind of like a sneak peek into some of those things. But a lot of it from, a Catholic Christian perspective as well, is following what the Lord has for us, right? So another thing as well, I think Scott was mentioning this in terms of parent expectations, and saying that people may have told you from childhood that you need to dress or look a certain part, right? So I just want you guys to think to yourselves, or maybe unmute or chat if this is totally something that's resonated with you. But have you ever taken a job or majored in something that you didn't love? Maybe it's something that your parents told you that you needed to. Does that resonate with anyone? Like, kind of raise your hand, maybe do an emoji or something like that. Most definitely. Yes. Love that. Yes. A lot of times. Oh, yeah. It's so easy, right? Because we look to our parents or those role models as people who we really trust, right? And we don't want to disappoint our parents, right? Like, I know I don't want to make my mom mad. I don't want to make my dad mad. Oof, it's just like, it's not pretty, right? But especially for something as big as a career, right? Of, man, like, what what kind of job do I go into? What does this look like? Mom and dad give me the answer, right? And oftentimes, or not, I shouldn't say oftentimes, but there are times where that doesn't necessarily align with what your heart is telling you. So one of the biggest examples I have, this is actually a friend of mine, her mom and dad were very much telling her like, oh my gosh, you're so good at math. You're so good at accounting. Runs in the family. This is what you need to do, right? This is what you should major in college. So she's like, okay, like, I guess sounds good to me. I'm going to listen to what they say. She did accounting. She ended up not liking it and feeling so unfulfilled. And she knew like in that moment, I don't care what my parents say, but I gotta try something else. Like, this is just not working for me. And she ended up doing a focused missionaries trip. I believe she went to Scotland or something like that, but she absolutely loved it. And she just knew like her relationship with the Lord was strengthened, the way in which she interacted with the kids. She's like, this just sings to my heart. I don't know what happiness is if this isn't it, kind of thing. And then now she actually works as I think it's a young adult or a youth ministry coordinator at one of the local churches here in DFW. So again, that external noise or expectation and pressure from her parents of, hey, you need to be an accountant, right? That wasn't aligned to her and it wasn't aligned to her purpose. But once she took the time to actually reflect and think about what that looks like, then she was able to find something that she loves. And just the way she shows up, it's like a weight is lifted off of her shoulders. Okay. So just kind of think about some of those times, and maybe this isn't even a job, but maybe even outside of that is, what is something that someone has told you to do that you didn't love or you didn't want to do? Maybe someone at work was being unethical and they wanted you to do something. Maybe it's a parent or a grandparent, or maybe a sister or brother who's telling you, you need to do this, but something in your heart has some tension. Your gut is feeling like this isn't aligning with my values and my ethics, right? So again, a lot of these things that I'm presenting today, it's not only applicable in your career, but it's also applicable in your job. Or in your life, excuse me. And then Paul was even saying in the chat, job search is a full-time job in and of itself. Heck, yes, it is, right? It's definitely a full-time job, especially when, you don't have a job or you're in the process of career transitioning. And one of the things I actually work on with my clients is helping them create like a weekly accountability schedule of, hey, like, this is the time that you're going to block off to start networking with people, to start applying for jobs and things like that. So if that's something that you guys are interested in, like, maybe put in the chat, like, yes, this is what I want to do. I need accountability. Like, put that in the chat. And Tracy and I can definitely help you in that area. But the other thing as well is, when it comes to job searching, oftentimes people like to do the spray and pray method, where it's like, let me just put all these applications out there in hopes of securing a job. But that's kind of working from like a desperation or a panic mode, right? And it actually reduces your efficiency. It's kind of like getting to a destination that you've never been to without having the directions. It's going to take you forever to go there because you're not going to know what road to take or what turn to turn and things like that. So it's really important to really figure out, hey, this is my destination. This is where I need to go. What's the quickest way that I can get there? So that's why this is so important when it comes to job searching, is figuring out what your next career path is and what that looks like for you.
Or you might end up at the wrong destination. Like somewhere that you weren't happy to be at, and you thought, that's sometimes the time and the effort that's spent on the front end, even if it takes more time, can pay off in long-term happiness.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And that's actually kind of one of my next points I have here, but I'll continue with this in saying that being discouraged to follow a path of your choosing, it could build into a lot of self-limiting beliefs and pessimistic thoughts, which can in turn steer you away from your life purpose, right? It makes you think, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm too old. I'm too young. I'm never going to be an artist. I'm never going to make the money that I can. And it's going to steer you away from your life purpose. If I had followed what my parents or people around me told me about my business, I wouldn't be where I am today, right? It's so easy to fall into those traps of like, I'm not making money. But the more that you're secured in your why and your how, the more that God is going to allow those fruits to blossom and open up for you. But like Tracy said, we can be our own obstacles too, right? Like sometimes we get so wrapped up in the busyness of life and our day-to-day activities, we don't even take time to breathe, and we don't even take time to reflect and invest. How many of you can raise your hand, put in the chat, like you've got kids, you've got a spouse, you got work going on. Like when was the last time you felt as if you were able to just kind of breathe and reflect and invest? Tell me in the chat what that looks like, that looks like for you. Or unmute yourselves, whatever you're most comfortable doing. So put it in the chat. When's the last time that you took time to reflect and invest in yourself?
So did anyone go to the job search workshop? So that wasn't, exactly like self-care per se, or going on a yoga retreat. But if you did that, like Ellen, like Victoria, like Anna, you invested in yourself. Oh, and Sonia, of course. Yeah. So.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we've had great feedback.
Learned so much. Love that. Love that. Yes. It's so important to invest in yourself, right? And to just pause and really reflect and understand, who am I? Why am I making the decisions that I'm making? And how am I meant to live out my values, right? But I will say, investing in yourself and reflecting on the harder questions in life is not easy. And that's why so many people just turn the other cheek. They're like, I just don't want to do this. I don't love this. Like, this is just too hard. This is too hard. This is uncomfortable. I believe Ellen was saying that earlier, right? Like, it's too hard. It's too uncomfortable. I'm just gonna, I'll have what she's ordering, or you know what, I'll just take this job instead. But like Tracy was saying, by not doing the work up front, it's going to, for the long term, right? It's going to kind of build that shaky foundation, right? Griffith was asking, would prayer, yoga, counseling, or having a spiritual advisor be considered investing in yourself? Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I am such a big believer that even as a coach myself, like, I need mentorship. Coaches need coaches, right? And just getting that sort of mentorship in your life, and that coaching in your life is so helpful. And then, things like prayer, yoga, counseling, things like that, that's really getting into the spiritual side of you. That's so important, right? And what we want to make sure as not only that we're investing in our purpose in our career, but how are we living out our purpose in our own life? And oftentimes we don't understand how to invest in ourselves and what our purpose is without taking that time to pray and be connected with the Lord, without taking that time to just pause and let your mind settle and let the Holy Spirit come in and work his magic in you and really bring out things.
Yeah.
I think for
ideally you're doing this on a daily basis. I mean, if you may not have an 8-hour, time that you're in the mountains, like exploring and investing in yourself or going to a workshop, but I mean, God wants to connect with us daily. So even if it's going to the chapel, or like I do yoga every morning before my Bible study, and that in prayer time, that is also investing in yourself. So yeah, all of that.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of people say, like, man, I don't have the time. Oh man, I'm too busy. Oh man, this, oh man, that. And I totally understand, because I have been there. I still feel like I still struggle with that, right? Especially as a business owner, where a lot of things pop up. But think of it this way, is that the Lord will accept any amount of time that you give to him, even if it's just 5 minutes, right? And building that practice, whether it's yoga or prayer or whatever it may be, it's the idea of not how much time you put in, but the consistency and discipline. So I actually was listening to a video, it's probably like a couple months ago, but it was someone who was saying that their client, they just started going to the gym and things like that. They never have gone to the gym before, but they only went for 5 minutes. They went to the gym, went for 5 minutes, and then left. And people are like, what the heck is this guy doing? Like, why is he only here for 5 minutes, right? But the key is that he's building that consistency. He's making it a habit of, I'm going to go. I'm making the choice today to go to the gym. Even if it's for a little bit, I'm going to go, right? And that's the same kind of thing you're doing here, is really investing in yourself and developing that relationship with the Lord, even if it's just for 5 minutes. And really reflecting on some of those questions that you're pondering in life. Maybe it's about your career. Lord, where do I go next? And things like that. So definitely something to really think about. And again, I think Scott mentioned in here, prayer definitely is key. And Paul was saying, the Lord knows you can handle what the world dishes out, right? Oftentimes I tell people, when you're really busy, or when you're in like the midst of a decision, prayer is more so important than ever. It's more important, and you need to have more of that reliance on the Lord. So yes, investing in yourself, reflecting on those hard questions is essential, right? And like I said before, people may think that this is the easy route, quote unquote, but in reality, it's building on a shaky foundation that is not set up for long-term success. And one of the Bible quotes that I go to, or scripture, I should say, that I quote, is Matthew 7, when the Lord is talking about building on rock versus building on sand. So everyone who listens to these words of mine and acts on them will be like a wise man who built his house on rock. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and buffeted the house, but it did not collapse. It had been set solidly on rock. And everyone who listens to these words of mine but does not act on them will be like a fool who built his house on sand. The rain fell, the floods came, and the winds blew and buffeted the house. It collapsed and was completely ruined. This in mind, we want to make sure that, one, we're not only building on this rock, right? But two, we're listening to the construction manager, which is Jesus, right? It's connecting with the Lord and figuring out, how do I build this foundation? And a lot of that foundation that's built is focused on finding your purpose and building based off of that. So again, investing in yourself, asking yourself and the Lord what your purpose is, and making a game plan to achieve it is your God-aligned foundation. These are some things that the Lord says about purpose as well. There's a ton of different scriptures, passages, and whatnot. But a lot of it is basically saying that your purpose is going to shine through. It's not going to be thwarted. You just have to let it shine through. And it's that Lord's purpose that prevails. And he'll provide you the plans to prosper and have a beautiful hope in a future as well. Okay. So I want you guys to think about how you can say yes to you. What is one thing that you can do today to say yes to you? Either unmute yourself, share it in the chat. How can you say yes to you today?
Or I'll say something else like, how can you say yes to God? So yes to you and yes to God are kind of sometimes.
I love that. Griffith saying, asking for guidance and adoration. Beautiful.
So yeah, self-care is really important, especially if you're in job transition. You might not have the same exact demands on your time as being scheduled, perhaps, but it can be an overwhelming like all day, all consuming situation if you don't give yourself breaks. And so I think Paul had said earlier that, looking for a job is a full-time job. And that is very much a fact if that is what you're doing and what you care to do most. But it is important to schedule times where you have family time, where you think about nothing else. You have, exercise time, perhaps, that you just reflect and take time away from the actual searching. So I think that's very important.
Yes, we're getting a lot of answers in the chat as well. So thank you all for sharing. Sonia said, yes, to allow God into my heart so I can make better decisions. Scott mentioned asking the Lord for clarity. Griffith saying, listening to your emotions, especially when you feel your work environment is affecting your personal health. That was me. That's what I did in April. I was like, I need to get out of this job or else I think my hair is going to turn gray. So I definitely understand that one too. Paul, this is beautiful. Praying for strength, wisdom, and endurance. Give yourself 4 hours during the weekend. I love that. Give yourself the time that you need to be with the Lord and really discern important things. And then Griffith also mentioned discerning if my current work is conflicting with time with spouse and family. So yes, such beautiful things to think about. As that's such beautiful things to think about as you're discerning what kind of career path you want to get into and how you can say yes to you today. Awesome. You guys are awesome. Okay. I wanted to provide actually one of our mentees, so career ministry client. This is someone who I worked with. His name is Dan. But before working with me, he applied for over 200 positions. He was becoming hopeless. He got unexpectedly laid off. He didn't know what to do. He wanted to find work-life balance, just all of these different things, right? And he was a soon-to-be father. So he got to the point where I was like, I need some help. I don't know what to do. I'm lost. And he tried to do it on his own in terms of applying, but he's like, you know what? I'm going to say yes to myself and I'm going to ask for help in terms of career coaching. So we worked together. We did a myriad of things, anything from, resumes, personality assessments, going over like self-positive affirmations, things like that. And after working with me and with the career ministry, Dan scored 6 interviews within 2 days of completing his resume. And he landed a job in 8 days that was, 1, his dream job, and then 2, $20,000 over his desired salary. So something that Dan said, and I love Dan. He actually just became a father just a few days ago. But he was saying, Anna helped me land a job, plain and simple. She also had me complete personality assessments that gave me a clear direction and career path to aim at my job search. Anna helped me land a job that I love in a field that I never would have thought of going into without her help. So definitely proof within the pudding in terms of saying yes to yourself and really figuring out kind of what your purpose is and how to find a job that aligns to that. So, yes, Dan is awesome. Congrats to him and his beautiful baby girl. So, okay. One of the things I wanted to mention as well in terms of kind of what I do is if anyone is kind of in that, like, yes, I'm ready to invest in myself. This is what I want to do. Like I said, I work as a life and career coach by day. And then at night as well, I guess. So for me, I help people realize their unique purpose through mind, body, spirit, wellness, and connection. I do anything from time management and work-life balance, mind management, self-care, growing in faith, goal setting and accountability, fitness and nutrition, personal fitness. I also do HR consulting work as well on the side. But more importantly, this is where I partner with Tracy in career coach services. But I actually do career coaching, right? That's really the crux of what I do. And I love working with people who need to find the clarity and the confidence they need to make career transitions. So there's a lot of things involved in this, such as passion and purpose, behaviors and motivators, resume and LinkedIn. It's like really going through the whole job life cycle. So if anyone is interested in career coaching, feel free to reach out to Tracy or to me as well. We'll kind of field and direct you as needed. Obviously, you guys are going through the career ministry. So if it is for career coaching purposes, that comes to no cost to you. So that's one of the things I wanted to mention as well. And I know Kim was asking which personality assessments we use. So one of the personality assessments, and I'll go through this a little bit later in our presentation, but it's called the TTI DISC assessments. So you basically get like 50 plus pages about, your personality, your motivations, what your interests and what your strengths are. And then it actually provides you specific job recommendations that you can research and are tailored based on your results. And then from there, you can also look it up on ONET, and ONET is a nationally accredited site that I think it's funneled by the Bureau of Labor Statistics. So you can literally like copy the suggestions from there and actually pull them into ONET to do more in-depth research on salary negotiations, wages, certifications, all that kind of stuff. Clifton Strengths isn't something that I particularly use. Tracy, I don't know if that's funneled through the career ministry or anything like that. But
so I'll just to clarify, because I want to make sure you get through whatever you want to get through with the presentation and respect everyone's time. But so Anna and I have been working together as she's been building her business, and she's worked beside me building the career ministry. There's certain things, everything we do in career ministry is free. Aside from specific, we may refer you to assessments. And those assessments come with a cost to even administer them. And so Anna has partnered with another organization that provides more detailed reports and things like that. So we're working together on kind of what types of pricing structures and that sort of thing. But just know, like, we're happy to be a resource for you, and we're not going to like throw something at you that is not what you're needed. So right. I was a Clifton Strengths champion for our church and our church staff. And so if that's a particular, it can be an also very useful tool. And so we can provide that, and I can help work through those, those reports with you as well. But again, any of these assessments, unless they're available in the public domain, usually have a cost associated with them, but they can be very valuable. And I do recommend, a lot of them. So
awesome.
I've answered the question.
Yes. Thank you for putting in that plug-in and clarifying. So we talked a little bit about, purpose, the importance of purpose, and how to start investing in yourself. So we're actually going to take steps into doing that. is really discerning your next career path. And some of you may have already discerned what that is. So this might be a refresher, just really a confirmation in what you're doing. And for some of you, you may not know what that next step looks like for you, and that's totally okay. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to do a quick little exercise. This is what I do with my clients. It's called the purpose quadrant, and it really dives into, with the combination of your values, your passions, your strengths, and your struggles, what is your purpose statement and how does it connect to your why? So we're just going to do a little glimpse of this today. We're not going to do the full thing. And if you do want to work with me on this more one-on-one, let me know and we can really deep dive into this. So again, these are some of the components. I'm going to go into this. So what I want you guys to do is, whether it's on a piece of paper, like pull out like a journal here, you could maybe list it on your computer, whatever it is to create a quadrant. So kind of like a line down and then a line across. You're kind of making a 2x2. Yes, thank you. And you're going to do values in one quadrant, passions in another, strengths in another, and then struggles. Don't worry about the middle one. We're just going to focus on the outer 4. Okay. Everyone good? Just kind of give me a thumbs up or something. Yep. Okay. See a couple head nods. Okay, cool. So what I want you to do is, in the values quadrant, I want you to choose at least 4 values that resonate with you. There's a list on here that you can see, but really the question is, what beliefs or characteristics do you stand for? And if you were to teach your future, or maybe your current children, certain qualities of life, which would they be? Okay.
How many do you want people? You said 4?
At least 4. Yeah. Let's take some time. And when you're ready, you can throw them in the chat if you want as well, if you're comfortable with that. Awesome. List 4 values that resonate with you. Does anyone have any that they would like to share? Oh, yes. Thank you. Ellen, humor, family, peace, time. Scott, grace, health, caring, safety, success. Griffith, adventure, collaboration, humor, risk-taking. Oh, I love these. I love these. Awesome. So now what we're going to do is kind of move to the next quadrant, okay? And we're going to focus on your strengths. So choose at least 5 strengths that resonate with you. Again, there's a whole list here. You don't have to go off this list, but you want to get to the question of, what qualities do people admire about you? So if someone said, I know XYZ, they're good at blank, what traits would they mention? Write some of those in your quadrant. And then feel free to share them in the chat or unmute yourselves to talk through them. Griffith said, balanced, creative, optimistic, thoughtful. Love that. Balanced, easygoing, kind, sociable, wise. Love that. And as you're thinking about these values and these passions, right, it's trying to figure out what kind of job or what kind of things in my life really bring out these values, really bring out these strengths. So in a job, for example, if one of your strengths is balance, how can you bring that into a role? How can you find balance Or how can you find a job or a company value that also values balance, right? And then Sonia, crafty, reliable, innovative, capable. So if you're more of that creative person, how can you bring some of those crafty and innovative elements into your next job? Okay. Awesome. Such great responses. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So keep writing those down and things like that. Thank you so much for sharing the chat. Keep going ahead and doing that as well. And then what we're going to do is focus on the bottom two quadrants, right? Your passions and your struggles. So let's talk about passions first. Things that excite you, that interest you. What do you like to do in your free time? What hobbies are you involved in outside of work? I know for me, I love like Orange Theory. I'm super passionate about psychology stuff. I get really nerdy about it. When I was working with Dan, the client that I showed you earlier, he loves like baseball and like trading baseball cards and talking about the history of baseball, right? So what are those things that really like jazz you up? If you guys have any cool ones, or if you want to share, put them in the chat, unmute yourselves.
This is for work only, passions?
No. Work
Okay.
and life. Great question.
Okay.
Work and life.
Okay.
Now, if you have more of your passions in your work, that's even better, right? Makes it easier to get up in the morning and be like, I'm going to work doing this, right? That's why I love coaching, because I'm like, wow, I could get really nerdy about psychology and talk health to people all the time. That's awesome. I love it. Sonia said reading, spending time in nature, volunteering. Oh, I love that. Yes. Starting new things. Let's see. Cycling, exercise, outdoors, sharing the gospel, and travel and adventure. Yes, Tracy, I love it. Collaboration, project management, marketing, product presentation. Yes. Things that really excite you. Awesome. Helping people learning outdoors. Yes. So Scott, for example, you know, if one of your passions is helping people, how can you find a job or a role that aligns to those passions, right? Or maybe you find something where you're doing more of a teaching, learning role. And then also, you know, if it's outdoors, bonus, right? Again, not everything is going to be translated into a job. It's just good to be self-aware of who you are, what your personality is, like what makes you shine, and everything like that. And with that, I think it's also important to talk about some of the struggles, right? So things that hold you back from achieving your goals. So whether those are internal, like we talked about in ourselves, or self-limiting beliefs that we tell ourselves, or externally, which is, you know, maybe following what your parents told you to do that, you know, that's not something you want to do. And what are qualities that you rely on others to provide. I know for me, something that I struggle with is this idea that I have to be like, everything has to be perfect and everything has to be right. And for me, that tendency, right, that thing that I struggle with, it could take me away from my purpose because I'm so caught up in delivering it in the right way. And it has to be perfect that I'm actually not delivering. It's like an analysis paralysis kind of thing. So if you want to share a couple of those in the chat as well, in terms of what you struggle with.
And these can also be work or personal?
Yep, work or personal, absolutely. Imposter syndrome. Oh, yes, Charlie, I totally feel that. Basically, imposter syndrome is feeling like you're not providing, like you're attributing your successes to somebody else or something else, rather than being able to celebrate those, right? Indecisiveness. Yes. Struggles, lack of confidence, low self-esteem, low confidence. Yeah. So one of the things I work on with my clients, right, is not only can you get the career clarity, right, but it's actually how do you defeat or how do you tackle some of these struggles that you're dealing with, right? Like low self-confidence, low self-esteem, things like that. So that you're ready to transition and make that big jump. That's something for me I had to do. I had to tackle a lot of the, you're not enough, you're too young to do this, you're going to fail, you're not going to do it right, all that kind of stuff. And by getting that inner healing, I was able to jump into what I love doing, which is coaching. Mm-hmm. So again, with all of this, kind of like what I was mentioning throughout is, based on this, what kind of jobs and companies align with your purpose quadrant? So after looking at all of those, how can you figure out the values and the passions and the interests and strengths of yours that can be in a job that you love? And then also some of those struggles, how can you kind of keep those in the back of your mind so that when you want to get to that job or that company, how can you tackle some of those self-limiting beliefs so that you can live out your purpose more? And the goal of this, I'm going to kind of skip some of this. The goal of this is self-actualization, right? We want you to achieve your full potential. And this is not only in your life, but in your career as well. And like I said, this is something that I love doing with my clients, is really figuring out that passion and that purpose and how to get there. So I actually have a program, it's called Meant for More. And our goal is to get you to a place of self-actualization, right? So it's really getting to know yourself inside out, discovering your passions and purpose, making sure that your career decisions align with your values, goals within your occupation that guide you to your quote unquote North Star. And then challenging a lot of those misconceptions and breaking those negative belief systems that pull you away from your purpose. So about the Meant for More program, I'm still kind of working through, I've ran this once. I'm still trying to work through the kinks of how to actually make this what I want it to be, right? But basically it's a 16-week program, designed to help professionals find a job that they're passionate about without having to sacrifice pay or spending hours submitting hundreds of applications, right? So today we kind of focused on this knowing you phase of really defining what your unique purpose statement is, right? Like starting to think about that. But next, it's really learning how to tackle some of those struggles that we talked about, understanding where they come from, and get healing from the Lord in that. And then going into prioritizing you is, like Paul was saying earlier, how do you make this job searching, which is a full-time job, how do I actually make this happen? So we focus a lot on salary expectations and negotiation coaching, how to actually dedicate time blocks so that you can make these career transition steps successfully. And then also from a financial and life standpoint, are you getting a job that fits within your financial means? So we actually do some budgeting and stuff like that. And then, of course, it's a lot of the career coaching elements of, resume, cover letter, LinkedIn, job searching, networking, interview coaching, right? But what I tell people is that there's so much more to it than just diving right into your resume. So like Paul was saying earlier, it's really defining what that purpose is in your career and in your life and how to actually live it out. So again, if anyone is interested in, kind of working with me, working with the career ministry, I do want to offer this program to career ministry folks for an extremely reduced rate or price. Again, Tracy and I are still kind of working through the mechanics of it and when it actually happened and things like that. So please let us know. You can DM me, you can DM Tracy, and just kind of say yes, I'm ready. I'm meant for more. And we'll kind of do that. So that's kind of a little bit about me, kind of what I'm here for today. If you are interested in having a conversation, feel free to scan the QR code, or like I said, DM Tracy, DM me. This is like a 60-minute free session where I'm just learning about you and kind of your passions and your goals, and figure out what's the best way that we can work together. So would love, feel free to scan the QR code on your phone, or reach out to me. And of course, my contact information is there as well. And then of course,
and it was all on the email that I sent. So if you got the email that had the link to the Zoom, all of her contact info was on that as well.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you, Tracy. And then another thing as well is, if maybe you're not ready for coaching, but you just feel like, hey, you know what? Like, I need Holy Spirit to come in. I need a prayer. Please help me out. I totally understand that. I feel like sometimes life just gets messy and chaotic and we struggle. So what I do is I offer like free 15-minute prayer sessions for support. No sales, no gimmicks. It's just time to really invite the Lord in and have him speak his truth over you. So having that time to just encounter the Lord and see kind of what he's saying to you. So maybe like right now, you don't have time carved out in your schedule to dedicate it to prayer or yoga or whatever it may be. This is the time to do it. You could just scan. We'll just take the time together to invite him in and everything like that. So I wanted to offer those as well. Tracy, I can also send this to you, like some of these codes and the websites to actually book prayer sessions, discovery calls, and things like that.
I know our time is wrapping up. We want to respect everyone's time, but yeah, we'll get some more clarification on offers, and I will include links to both the prayer and the hour. I'm not promising it today, so if this is something you want to do today or tomorrow, then like definitely do the QR code or reach out to Anna. But yeah, Anna, you've been so great and helpful.
Absolutely.
And I just commend everyone for your participation too. It's been really nice to have, both the chat and the, audio participation.
Awesome. Yes. No, honestly, thank you guys so much for just joining. And I'm glad it was helpful. And can you put the scan code for the free 60 minutes? Yes, I can. Let me pull that back up. Yeah, absolutely. I'm here for any questions. I know, Griffith, you mentioned you had a question in regards to job transitioning. So Tracy, if it's okay, I'm happy to stay on and answer that question. But yes.
For sure. Yeah, I'll just, since we're over time, I'll just use Jeremiah 29:11 as our prayer to close us out, and wish all of you a great week. Definitely, reach out to either of us. We'll do our best to get right back to you, but know that we're praying for you. We do have another great speaker for March 1st that's already booked, so I'm excited about that. I don't have to be scrambling the last few minutes and you're going to get an email the day before. Maybe I'll get it out even before then. So anyway, we have Lent is also coming up in the Catholic Church is next Wednesday. So we won't be meeting then. Make sure you party hard this weekend. And think about think about what you are, what God's calling you to do from a, reflection standpoint as well. It doesn't have to just be giving up chocolate, but I think Lent can be a good discerning purpose time as well. And sometimes, we just need a short time that we're committing to and saying, you know what? I'm going to take these 40 days and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to be disciplined in these areas. And those things can turn to lifelong habits as well. So just know we're praying for you and we're here to support you. So Jeremiah 29:11, God says, for I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope in the future. With that, we'll close. I will turn off our recording and thank you all for joining. Have a great day.